Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our any percent glitchless Metroid Dread tournament Speedgaming Live 2024. This is not the first match we've had so far, but it is the first with commentary. So you will get stuck with me for our official send-off. We have a race tonight between Vale and Root, and I think everything should be in order. Go ahead and make sure that we have audio all set up. And we'll get started. Okay, so for tonight, we do have something that right off the bat I want to clarify. Excuse me. We have two runners. One of them is going to be using a physical copy of the game, and the other is going to be using digital. And this is important for Dread because we have a pretty large gap in loads between the two versions. A couple people in our community have kind of taken the time to do frame counts and kind of check that out. And it comes out to around 3.5 minutes worth of extra time for loads for physical. So Vale is using physical and Root is not, is using digital. So the way that we work this out is Vale is actually going to be getting a 3-minute 27-second head start is, I believe, the plan. So you'll see Vale going ahead early, but no cause for alarm. That's just the agreement that the runners worked out amongst themselves to be able to make it fair. So throughout the race, you'll see when there's loads transitions between the two different areas, it's going to be a pretty noticeable lag on the end of Vale's game. So we will see beginning of Artaria. This is again any percent glitchless, and for glitchless, you get to see quite a bit more of Artaria than in other categories because we try to cut everything out in glitchless, or excuse me, in NMG or in UR. On the early load screen, already Vale is going to be losing time over a digital copy because log loads. There it is. So for reference, normally a digital runner would actually get control of Samus around 26 seconds. But give or take there, we got it at 30 seconds. That is definitely a tough deal. We'll see Vale making their way through our Artaria. And this first part is something any player of the game would recognize as pretty straightforward routing. For Artaria, it's actually something a lot of people would be able to relate to, casual playthroughs. As much of the routing of Artaria is what you would expect in a normal playthrough. So it is more about movement and fundamentals than it is about nailing tricks. In the other categories, when we do have either minor glitches or unrestricted, there are some what we call pseudo shots, pseudo wave shots, where you can use shots to clip the shot out of bounds rather, and they can break up Artaria pretty quickly. Going for early Phantom Cloak with Corpius, which makes the whole route completely different. But this is a little bit more calm and slow-paced. Get to see the broken Emmy first, like a normal playthrough, and then you are able to continue on your way over past broken Emmy. Vale did skip the missile pack there. Sometimes it can help a little bit with Corpius later, since you're going to be doing it later in Artaria. But there is the broken Emmy kill. So we will be looking at Root's feed will start. Root will be able to begin at the 3-minute 27 mark for her. So that we'll have both runners going. A little bit different of a scenario here with just one runner going first, but this is the way that they agreed for it to be fair for the end time. That little water pool there gets me a lot too. It's difficult to try to do the slide off the ledge, what we call a coyote jump, where you can slide and then jump a little past the time that you've slid. So normally you'd think you could just jump off of collision, off the ground, but you're actually able to jump midair after a slight delay off of the ledge. But it's a difficult one because sometimes our feet will get caught in the water and then you jump too low, and it feels very sad and it's kind of cringe, but you move on. This next little bit is wrapping around kind of the long way to get to an Adam room where we talk to Adam. There's Vale now. And then we'll be taking a little bit of a route, and that was kind of the detour there. We're going to be going for Charge Beam. There is a trick coming up that does save around 14 seconds, I believe, that probably won't be seen for most runners, if I am correct about that. I personally am probably not going to go for it later in the tournament, but it's a very difficult trick. I don't remember if it's double frame perfect, but there's just a lot of moving parts. There's at least one frame perfect part, another that I think is frame sensitive, essentially. But it's essentially a skip to not have to lower the water in this next area coming up pretty soon. So Vale will make their way through this little underwater area. Coming up right over here, we have a way to be able to do this trick with Phantom Cloak when we get early Corpius. And they pass by that ledge right there. If you're able to slide off that ledge and get up to where the missile pack was, up there in that room, you can bypass this whole little, you have to come over here and break the blob, lower the water level over here. And doing that, at least first try, can save you 14 seconds or so. Very difficult trick though. It's much more precise without having Phantom Cloak, like we would have in no major glitches. And so usually it would just be safer, especially in a race, just to not worry about that. Take the steady bottom route. Here's another fun little trick we use in a couple different places. If there is a sloped wall close by to a wall, you're actually able to respin off of a wall jump. You melee off of the wall jump into a respin, and you can actually gain enough height to be able to grab a ledge that's out of reach with a normal jump. So it kind of looks like a little double jump action there, but you're able to gain that height that you need, and after the second wall jump, be able to grab the ledge. And that allows us to be able to skip lowering a platform again to be able to get through that section. Saves, I'm trying to remember exactly how much, maybe 7 or 8 seconds. That's just off the top of my head though. So the runners won't really be too close together for quite a while, since obviously there was a bit of a head start for Vale. But as we get closer late game, because of the loads and stuff, you'll definitely see Root creeping up on Vale if they're able to play about the same pace. So it'll be fun to watch to see how close Root is able to get, if they're able to pull ahead, or we'll definitely see in late game. So keep your eye on that. Root making their way out of the Emmy zone for that first time. There is a trick as well in that first section that you can pull off, that parrying the Emmy when it's first coming over that slope, while you just have to wait for it here, you can actually parry it as early as possible, and it does save like 2-3 seconds, barely any time to go for a parry. It's not worth it because you can die, but it is kind of a funny time save to think about. This next section here coming up and over. Normally we wouldn't see this room really in NMG or UR, apart from maybe doing Hundo, 100%. But for glitchless, we don't have Phantom Cloak early enough, so we're not able to just slide through go through the Phantom Cloak, the sensor doors. I say slide because that's the way that we do it. It's the fastest way, but you don't have to slide. So Vale will be coming up on the second, well, it's technically the same Atom Room, but coming to the Atom Room a second time, and then heading down towards Spider Magnet. First Emmy kill that results in an upgrade. And again, Artaria is definitely less fast-paced. It's just kind of like, almost like journeying your way around until you get the upgrades. There's a sense of adventure here in early game for glitchless.
Uploading data.
Because I will say, in no major glitches or UR, it is pretty bang bang. There's a lot of difficult tricks. It can go sour very quickly. This is just kind of a nice, relaxed Artaria tour. Bit longer, obviously, but totally worth it. Alright, so there is the Emmy again. Open up this thermal door so you can get down to where the central unit is. And Root is going to make her way out of the Emmy zone there to grab Charge Beam. Alright, both working on major upgrades here. Normally, so of course I say normally, it depends on what kind of route you'd want to run. Glitchless is a nice category if you're trying to get into speedrunning Dread, to be able to get your feet under you with like movement tech and learning routing and all that kind of stuff, before you have to really deal with, like I had said before, pseudo wave shots where you're able to shoot through the terrain to be able to break up blobs before you should be able to. Those shots, generally speaking, can be very dicey, difficult to really nail down or get consistent. So not having to worry about those in a category is a breath of fresh air for sure. And other random things that we've deemed minor glitches and stuff like that. But with this route, now after Spider Magnet, Vale will be headed to Corpius to be able to get Phantom Cloak. So doing it later in the run is a little different, because normally you would reset quite a bit on Corpius trying to get the perfect fight and like lead up to Corpius in no major glitches, because it's only like 2 minutes into the run. But for glitchless, because it's so much later in Artaria, you kind of just take whatever you get. It's not really worth resetting over a ton unless you have like a horrible fight. You feel like you fell apart and you gotta restart, but yeah, because it's later, it means you don't feel the pressure to hit the reset button so often, which is a good thing. Nice to be able to get some reset run. Let's see. We were hoping, see if Corpius does the tail swipe first there's a chance you could get what we call headlock, where Corpius has its head stuck in the low position on this second phase right here with the invisible phase. And when it does that, if you're able to get it in the head stuck position, then it is basically, you just shoot at the same spot the entire time, which is so much more comfy than Corpius flailing its head all over the place. Very difficult to nail down. Takes a decent amount of reps to even get semi-comfortable with. But usually, there are a couple ways you can get head stuck, the headlock pattern, but the most obvious one would be the tail swipe and then doing like a little spit animation right after that. So after all of those upgrades, we were able to pick up 3 here in Artaria. Now Vale is able to move on to our second area, Cataris. See Root making their way to Spider Magnet as well now. Looks like lost there. Okay, there we go. Got Vale back up for Cataris. Good to go. Now Root is going to be going for the white Emmy kill. That little movement section can feel, it seems pretty basic, but it is actually very uncomfortable. Ooh, Root going for plant. Nice. That's a very tight kill. GG's to Root for that. It's gutsy going for that in a live race. So the plant kill, you basically have to start charging up the blaster shot right as you finish taking out the faceplate with the first the beams. And if you don't time it right, you could either not quite have melted the faceplate, or you start charging the blaster a little too late. You also have to be accurate with the faceplate, obviously. But there is the slide under. If you just kill it, take out the faceplate, and then slide under after that, or you can jump over it. So there's a couple different ways you can approach it. Some more lenient than others, but Root going straight for the jugular with the big kill. Saves about a second, I believe, over the slide under. Somewhere in that. So it does save a little bit of time. So now we're in Cataris for Vale, and Root is on their way to Corpius. This area is a lot of even just it's basically the same route as other categories, either NMG or UR. Well, not UR, excuse me, as NMG. But there is one trick that we really don't look forward to in the middle of Cataris. It's about like 6-7 minutes, depending on how long you're able to take with Cataris, but it's like 6-7 minutes of material, and like, I don't know, not quite halfway through is Atom Skip, and it's a pretty big trick for all three versions of the categories, where you're able to do a couple of wall jumps, and the way that we use the slope with a couple of different tight inputs, you're able to actually get height enough to grab a spider magnet and take a shortcut that skips a ton of Cataris, but also means that you don't have to stop in the atom rooms from then on, because of the way that the game has that set up. It just, the atom room that is waiting for you stays as the one that was at the beginning until you talk to him there. So you don't need to talk to him again the rest of the run once you do this trick. Root safely out of Artaria. Looks like a pretty solid Artaria from Root there, with the time separation and stuff. It's good for Root. Alright, there's the first button in Cataris. The second one is after Atom Skip, so we can kind of use those as a gauge of how well you feel like you're doing on the pace. You gotta open a thermal switch here, a thermal door, to be able to get to the Atom Skip room. Once we get to that room, the trick is basically, I can explain a little bit once we get there. On the way to Atom Skip is such a doomer feeling. Good luck, Vale. Alright, so here it is. A spider magnet on the bottom. A couple wall jumps. Oh my goodness, Vale got it first try. I didn't even have to explain. GG, Vale. The, oof. Yeah, sometimes that slope can meme on you. I still get stuck on that, like, randomly and fall all the way back down, and am not salty at all. So, what Vale just did there was a wall jump off of the spider magnet. You wall jump off of the right wall as well. After the second wall jump off the left wall, if you melee at the top of the slope, there's a certain visual cue that we can use in that room, where if you melee at the right time and then respin into a wall jump, you're actually able to wall kick higher up than you would normally be able to, which gives you enough height for the final wall jump off of the left wall to grab the spider magnet. It's very tight. Vale made it look very easy. It is not. It takes a lot of reps to be able to get it consistent. So first trying in a race is very hype. But that's the general idea, is you're using the slope to be able to gain a little bit of height when you're able to hit the top of the... Oh, the green Emmy! Not able to get the second parry either. So for any of you who have played through Dread, there is a parry mechanic you can use. If you are caught by an Emmy, and the Emmys in this game are basically like patrol bots that are trying to hunt Samus down. They were programmed that way by the main villain of the game, and Ravenbeak. He set them up so that they're constantly trying to attack her. But the way that the bots work is when the Emmy catches you, if you're in an Emmy zone, then it has two chances to parry. The first one is a little more, you can barely react to it. If you have good instinct, you're able to like anticipate it and then react to the flash. there's a little bit of a sign. Second parry is not. It's basically guesswork. So for any of us, if we get caught, you're hoping to be able to get the first parry. If you miss that one, second one is just a prayer. So those kinds of encounters can be very tense if you get stuck in a situation like that. And unfortunately, Vale not able to get out of it, but that death isn't too big of a time loss since they just start right outside that room. There are some Emmy parries, if you are to get caught, they could lose much more time, so not good to ever have a death, but that's definitely one you can at least be less, it's less punishing, I should say. Alright, Root is on Adam Skip now. We're through. For those of you just tuning in, Metroid saw that Green Emmy caught Vale, and they weren't quite able to parry it, so they had to start back up at the top of the room. Alright, Root doing the second button, and Vale approaching Dairon. Once we get past Adam Skip, again, movement is very important in this game, so it's not that it's not stressful in this next section, but once you get past Adam Skip, you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, because these next couple splits are much more focused on movement and fundamentals, so you're probably not going to be losing a wild amount of time. There's not really any threat of death or anything like that. Of course I say that, and I'm probably going to jinx the runners, because commentators curse, but generally speaking, this is just like a fun couple splits of go fast. And Vale will be picking up Wide Beam here in a second, which greatly enhances our ability to shoot at things, which is actually important. You wouldn't really think much of it. Unrestricted runners, in several different avenues. I think I've only really run any percent unrestricted, so I can't comment like others could on other unrestricted categories, but you, with the current route, are stuck with single beam for a long time. You get wide late, and fighting Kraid with just single beam is very difficult and not fun, because shooting at the claws that he throws at you, wide beam makes it much more comfortable. So being able to get wide beam on time is a nice little boost to, you don't have to aim quite as accurately. The Root is out of Cataris. Next item on the agenda is a Morph Ball, which is a little bit later than some other games in the series, just based on like the normal routing and stuff like that. Makes it a little different. Since we have Slide in this game, and a new thing to dread, being able to slide definitely changes how you interact with stuff in the environment, like being able to get underneath things a little earlier, but Morph is definitely a very useful thing to have. They also were very, very mean, and in the early game, there are some one-tile spaces you could fit through, but they're one tile up off the ground, so you can't just slide into them. You have to morph. So you see all those places and wonder, surely I will see Morph Ball soon. But we don't get it until back here in Cataris. There's a lot of back and forth in this early game. Artaria, Cataris, and Dairon, you feel like you're just going back and forth to be able to get upgrades and stuff. If you were to look at a pathing to look at where Samus has been, just like by a line, covering all the different areas, it would be a lot of overlap in these couple of areas in early game. And then we start to branch out after that point. Alright, coming up on second Emmy kill, there's the central unit. Make the central units like nice, comfortable boss fights in general. Unless it's Dread mode, and then we're terrified because any shot could kill you. And the central units, especially like Yellow Emmy, Speed, are very tense exchanges. But for any other difficulty, it's pretty much just shoot at the central unit and win. This Emmy kill looks a little bit stressful since we let the Emmy get so close, but in practice, as long as your aim isn't bad, it's a very steady kill, very straightforward. So you can look like you're doing something really stressful when you're not. But Vale is able to get Morph Ball now. Because of the way that we do this, since glitchless involves not doing any of the like pseudo shots or any of the shortcuts that NMG is able to do with those kinds of tricks, we're going to be doing a trick, probably the staple trick of glitchless, any percent at least, a glitchless early ice. There are a couple other tricks that are available to glitchless if you use the early space route, which Metroid used earlier tonight. So if you're curious about that route, you could go back and watch that VOD as well. The early space route obviously gets space early. That would be that. There's a no major glitches version of that as well. But for glitchless early space can be very difficult. And that's another kind of key trick in the route. If you're able to get that quickly and then glitchless early ice, then you'll be feeling pretty good about the run. But early ice we'll see regardless of route. And I believe both Vale and Root are doing the Frozen Artaria route the way that it's set up. But I could be corrected on that later when we see which way they choose to go. Alright, so now Root is upon the central unit for Morph for the green Emmy. And Vale is going to be going to obtain our second suit. The game is very, well, I should say for the speedrun, it's pretty fast-paced in terms of how quickly you're able to get abilities. Go from one ability to the next. Varia allows us to be able to go in Cataris where we weren't able to go before, which in this particular instance means being able to visit our old friend Kraid. Next section coming up for Vale is a pretty difficult, it's movement, but it's technical with what we call Varia Climb. Just a lot of falling parts. You have to be able to move quickly through there. It's like in a little escape sequence. The timer is very lenient for when the room gets too hot, because the rooms are getting too hot behind you, but as long as you're not lost, then you'll be fine. But Vale making quick work of it so far. To get out the other side just fine and be able to pick up Varia Suit. Varia Suit obviously you're able to go in places that are hot rooms, which is the whole area where Kraid is in Cataris. And Root about to get to the teleportal that takes her to Varia as well. Taking that missile pack, I take that missile pack as well. Both Kraid and then quite a bit later, the Quiet Robe robot that we have to fight. They are both made a little bit easier by having that extra cushion for missiles. Not mandatory, but it's more of like a quality of life thing. If you're going for really, really fast times, you could choose to skip it or not, but it all depends on player preference there. It's like, that one in particular might be 2 seconds. I think it's just like 1.8 for the text box to be able to pick up a missile, like an extra missile pack, so that might be a little over 2 seconds, just a little divot just stepping off to the side. Somewhere around there. Kraid fight in this game is pretty difficult to do fast, I'll say. It's not insanely difficult. When you're encountering it for your first time through, you're gonna have some trouble. It's definitely something you kind of have to feel out. If you're a veteran of these kind of games, it might not really phase you that much, but it definitely takes a little bit to kind of feel out what he's doing. but to do it fast also kind of depends on RNG. There are several fights in the game that have some wide swinging RNG that can really annoy you if you get like a couple of bad draws for bosses. The RNG doesn't necessarily make it impossible or anything like that, but it definitely makes it harder to go fast, and some of it will just strictly lose you time. So you always hope for a really generous fight. Here's the crate entrance for Vale as Root grabs Varia, so Root moving along just fine. I hadn't been paying too close attention to the time difference as of now. I think Root has gained a little bit of time from the start. The early game. So Vale going for the morph wall jumping there. The single wall jumps. What you're able to do if you morph, if you jump and then morph. I just like explain this properly. Oh no, Vale! Oh, I hate that. It's so frustrating. The crate punch of doom. Okay, another punch. This is really mean. Okay, good. Vale had enough. I wasn't actually paying attention how much they had left in the tank. Enough missiles. You do need a missile left to open this door to be able to get the fusion beam. Otherwise, you have to sit outside the room and farm on that one enemy that keeps spawning, and sometimes it's not friendly and does not give you missiles. So it's good that Vale had enough left. The wall jumping there, though, with the morph, what you do is morph right after you wall jump. And it's a series of morphing, unmorphing, a little respin towards the wall. If you do it in good rhythm, you're actually able to continue to gain height. It's very fast paced, so learning the trick is quite difficult. Once you have it down, though, it's all down to the rhythm. So when it's going well, it's a happy trick. When it's not going well, it's a very grumpy trick. Alright, Root heading to Crade 2. Hopefully we'll see a friendly Crade. Alright, this next little section Vale's going to be doing is a little detour for grapple. This is like what you might call like a dev-intended skip. Or sequence break, where you're able to get grapple beam early using some jumps over a little lava area to get over to an Artaria elevator early. And when you have grapple beam early, you're able to take a few shortcuts in the next couple sections, using the grapple beam to open the way. No, the shortcuts aren't massive, but they're enough that they are a really nice quality of life enhancement, being able to skip a few things. So those couple of jumps that Vale was that jump towards the end there, you do a coyote jump into that wall jump to be able to get up to that little tunnel, and then exiting the tunnel, you do the coyote jump to be able to grab the ledge on the other side. So that whole little strip, the way they set it up, you're able to use a little bit of movement tech to be able to cheese the area and get to this elevator for grapple. The second jump there that you saw, I wasn't commentating real time, apologize. The second one is a little stressful because of the fact that if you fall, you can potentially save it on that little slope underneath the jump, but if you fall into the lava, you're dead. There's nothing you can do to save that. And it's obviously a long reset back to the checkpoint at the elevator. Or was it teleportal? Whatever it was. But where you transported in there to be able to get it. So if it's just one of those things where it's not overly difficult, but if you do miss it, it's very costly. So here's this little one-stop shop for grapple beam. Grab it, dart back up to Dairon, continue on our way. In the any percent, no major glitches, the faster route is what we call screw attack short boost. It actually doesn't get grapple early because of the way the route works out. You grab it on the way down to getting screw attack later. But for the most part, the other categories, like 100%, well, now 100% has a short attack, or excuse me, short boost route as well. But for routes like this one or early space, getting grapple early is the way to go. Nice little load overlap here. Really quality image. Sam is chilling. Every once in a while, you can get a messed up load. It'll actually pull the wrong image. Sometimes it can be the menu screen. I think sometimes people have gotten a game over screen. Or it could just be the wrong transport. Like she'll be doing like a teleportal thing or whatever when you're in an elevator. Those kinds of things. It's pretty silly. And when it happens, it'll throw you off for a second. You're like, oh. It doesn't, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't affect loads. I think somebody else said that they had an experience where the load lasted longer than it should have, but it's just kind of a silly visual thing. Alright, because we got grapple beam, now Vale is able to cut over here to be able to get up towards bombs. Normally, or not normally, but rather if you do another route that didn't get grapple early, you'd have to kind of go up to the right and around and do a another one of those morph jumps that you saw Vale do against the wall in Kraid. And when you do one of those, you get enough height to be able to get up and past where you wouldn't normally be able to be able to get to bombs. But now we open up this way, turn on the generator, and we're able to obtain bombs. This next section definitely picks up the pace in terms of the difficulty. There's a lot more going on. And we kind of, as we approach the midway point of the run. See, I relate to that. I saw Vale trying to open the door, and they didn't have a missile out. And like, I swear half the time, like I'm hitting the missile button, but I hit it at the perfect, like just the wrong frame. And so it looks like I'm just shooting at the door, but I promise you, I'm trying to tap the missile button like over and over, and I'm just tapping it too short, or like something weird happens. So I feel that pain. Oof. Ledges are cringe. Something about this game that when you play it for a while, you just have those days that ledges in particular are kind of like the metric for how well it's going when you're trying to do short hops off of them, like some of the stuff that like Vale just did. Or if you're trying not to grab them, for instance, those kinds of things. If you do end up slow climbing up a ledge, all those kinds of, like, there's like a couple different ways you can interact with it, and sometimes it feels like you can end up doing all of the wrong things in a particular sequence, and it's just the most agitating thing. Because you just know, like, it's probably not going to be the best day. But ledges will forever be the bane of our existence in speedrunning. Grabbing a ledge on the way down someplace when you didn't intend to, or trying to get over it, feels like bonking in a game like Mario Odyssey or Mario 64. Oh, the bicycle kick. I love that style. I do that all the time too. Totally intended style points for root. It's funny, that's one of the couple areas where that could happen. And it's very amusing to me when it does, even though it's a time loss, it's still just funny to watch. Samus looks epic doing it. You kind of wish that they put more reasons to use it in the game, but it's basically just aesthetic. Even in a casual playthrough, you have very little reason to do it. I mean, unless you're in a pinch. If you're in Morph Ball and something is coming at you, you can just like immediately whip out the counter and look epic, like, oh, surprise. Okay, so Vale's on their way down to Flash Shift, a new ability as of Dread. It allows you to be able to flash from one place to another quickly, and you can use it up to 3 times in a row before the cooldown, before the meter has the cooldown effect. And Vale is going to be going for it. It saves, I think with grapple, it saves around like, is it like 10? 4, 12? Let me get my numbers straight. I don't know. It's a decent amount, especially like obviously we get it first try. Without grapple, it's way more. Significantly more. So, like, in a couple other categories, you would basically need to learn it. But in this category, if you don't go for it, it's not a deal breaker. It's just a nice boost. I was too busy talking, I didn't even pay attention. It looked like Vale got it first or second try, so good on Vale for that. It's a very rhythmic trick. There are people that actually will put on metronomes or music to be able to, like, get the beat steady in their heads, since it's very exact. As long as you have that rhythm in your head for placing the bombs, then you'll be all set. But as you see Root going there, that unfortunate unmorph. Root saving it midair. Oh no! Oh, that was good work to be able to get out of that position, because if the bombs are too close to the door or too close to each other, it can create the door closed behind her. That was rough. I feel that. If you're able to keep the bombs positioned far enough apart, then I believe it's 7 bombs that you're able to get it where the door will open for you. But if they're like positioned in such a way that the sensor goes off still, you can still try to salvage it in the air by positioning them slightly different. Oh my goodness, that flash door clowning on both of them. That sometimes flash just like you end up with the bad timing and it doesn't activate that second time to float over the door, and so you just fall. Anyways, this is the in glitchless, you come down here and blow up these blobs to lower the water level or raise it in that level area, but it's like a water release. And when you lower the water level up top, then you're able to get through. There are a couple of, what I had said before, pseudo wave shots that you're able to use in these two areas, where you can shoot them from up top without having to go below, under there. And they save a little bit of time. It's actually not as much as we'd originally thought, but they do save some time. But the glitchless version is much nicer, because you don't have to worry about the pseudos being silly. You can just move. Neither of them went for it, but there is also a little trick called fish boost there when the platform is lowering and you're about to exit to get to that diffusion blob and head to the platform. When the platform is lowering for you, one of those one-eyed fish, I don't even know what those things are called, but when it's floating around there, you are actually able to use it as a damage boost up to the platform. As it's coming back towards you, you jump kind of over it and then bump off of the right side of the fish. And if you do it while you're morphed, then you'll get enough height to be able to grab the ledge. And the route that they took up over the top is, I think, like 2 seconds slower, maybe a tiny bit more. So the route they took is much safer, because if you fail the fish boost, you don't really have a backup. You just have to go up and around. Or you can try the fish boost again, but it's just as much time loss. So generally speaking, going up and over is perfectly fine, but the fish boost can be like that little extra if you want. So you'll probably see later in the tourney several people going for that trick. Vale has obtained the speed booster. Now that we have... Oh no! Oh, that's a troll. Sometimes it activates. You just have to watch helplessly. Vale going into Morph Ball there because you can actually skip a cutscene when you're in that area normally, going up that tower with the spark, because it's the first time theoretically that you'd be sparking. The way that they have it set up, at least, it's like the first noticeable spark. There's like a big animation of zooms in on Samus, and she's all majestic as she soars to the skies, and it loses like 3 seconds. So we just skip that by morphing. Maybe it's like 2.5. I don't remember, man. But Vale is going up to Quiet Robe. When you visit Quiet Robe up in Ferenia, Quiet Robe gives you this whole spiel about what's going on in ZDR, like why Samus was drawn there, Ravenbeak wanting to carry out his big evil plan. And after Quiet Robe gives a speech, one of the robots takes him out, and then you have that fight ensue. And this fight, when you're doing it, we try to do some sparks, some shine sparks to take it out. It only takes 2 of them, but they are very difficult, and it's a kind of a tight arena. So you'll see Vale go for those. There are a couple different ways to approach it, and the RNG can kind of make your the sparks tighter or looser, like make it easier or not for you to be able to pull it off. So there's the entrance. We skip that whole quiet robe dialogue. Oh, that was gonna be a tough spot to store in. Okay, I have enough space. Vale gets the first one. They should be able to go for the second one. Perfect. All right, a little bit of a hiccup there in the beginning, but being able to get those second couple stores is good. That fight can escalate quickly. And there is threat of dying. Vale did take the 30 tank, and so did Root as well. So they'll have a little bit more cushion. Some people opt to go for 2 E-tanks, the 2 pickups. And if that's the case, you do have to be careful there, because if you miss a handful of sparks in a row, which hopefully not, but it does happen, you got to be really careful about your health. So good for Vale to finish. That was like basically like 3 attempts to be able to get in and out of there without any drama. Root is entering the fight as well. Okay. Taking that little D-boost. Went up top just to be safe, but got it in 2 sparks. That's good. So we didn't have to see any quiet robe robot. Quiet robo, as some people call it. I just call it assassin. Because that's what it was doing. But no drama on that fight is always good to see, because that can be a sticking point. It's kind of funny, because in the feature category for any percent NMG, when you're doing the short boost trick, that's like a really difficult trick to be able to get screw attack early, it upends the entire route. And when you're going up to Verenia here, you actually already have screw attack, so you literally just bounce on the robot. So a couple of those fights, like the robot fight, there's one in Gavrin, and this one here, you just bounce on it. It's free. But in most of the other categories, you don't have that. So you gotta fight it for real. Alright, now this next section, Verenia 2. Since we already visited Verenia first for Flash Shift. Verenia 2 does not actually have any pickups. We don't grab anything here. It's like a pit stop on the way to Gavrin. In No Major Glitches, there's a pseudo you can do that we call Drog Skip, because when you break the blob from the other side of the wall, it opens up the path to just go straight to Gavrin and forget the Dragaija. I don't actually know how you say it. I just say Drog, so I'm gonna go with that. The big water boss. But when you skip it, you can just go straight up to Gavrin instead of having to worry about that fight. In Glitchless, obviously, we can't use that pseudo. So you run it as if you're running all bosses, since all bosses wouldn't skip a boss. Duh. And Drog has a trick called One Cycle, since it's a chance to be able to take out the boss in 1 round worth of attacks. It's tight, but consistent. So in general, it's pretty straightforward to practice and get down. If you miss it though, it's a loss of like 20 seconds, because Drog takes forever to load everything. It's just like flopping there with its tentacles, and then has to hit you a couple times, and then it becomes free to damage again. So the boss being able to one cycle it is a very nice time, like it's a very important time save in this run. So you see this first phase, there's a tentacle at the top that you take out, just spam it, and then you're able to take out those buttons to lower the water level, get Drog vulnerable. And then here, Vale is going to do melee or slide, whichever way, probably melee would be most comfortable, to be able to actually kind of like stun Drog, but it's basically stalling it from doing its attack. The longer you're able to stall it from doing its attack, you're actually able to get more of the damage you need to kill Drog out there. So you see Vale was able to get that one cycle. That was really good. You can do it with less of the damage boosts if you want to. Oh no. Root trying to get over the top. Okay. Made it over. They do have 3 E-tanks though too, so that the boosts aren't as big of a deal. Okay, so Root able to get, they went for the 3, 4. Alright, so it looks like Root's refills were good. They took a couple more melees than probably necessary, even for how they handled the fight. But it's mostly just about drops at that point, and Root was able to get a reasonably favorable amount of drops. Health-wise, they could use a little more, but it's enough for the robot fight, because that's what comes up next. When we do Drog, one of the difficulties of failing one cycle is that you end up with less drops, generally speaking, and it can make this next robot fight coming up right here for Vale very tense. Because dodging it this is a tough fight if you're trying to do like Dread mode strats. But with this, you're able to go in with the Spark, you get a speed boost restore. Vale opting for the counter there, a little refill. And you basically just spark it and then missile mash it out. You take out half of the bot's health, as far as I'm aware, with that initial spark, which sets up the fight to be a little bit more comfortable. Doing the full fight missile-wise is quite long. I think I remember it's something like 28 missiles. I'm trying to remember exactly how much it is. It's a lot of missiles. Oh man, Root dodging just in time there. That was clutch. Very tense moment. The blue counter, since we are running on Rookie for this because it's the fastest way to run it. On Rookie, attacks don't do nearly as much damage in general, so you're able to tank a little bit more, which allows for more deboost strats, and in boss fights you're able to like tank more and just focus on taking out the boss. But even on Rookie, the blue counter, the swipe you see that the bot will go for, will kill at the health that Root was at. It's a very vicious attack. It's able to make it just through. Root definitely catching up to Vale here, with those loads and stuff, and just general gameplay, making it much tighter. So Vale's on the way out. Oh, got fish boosted the wrong way. There's the whale boost. I have other people who have told me that I'm very wrong for calling it a fish boost as well. It's a whale boost. Some people call it Hackathon boost. I don't actually remember where that name came from. But whale boost, excuse me. That's a fun boost. So what you can do is if you tuck underneath it with a flash onto the ledge. I actually didn't see Root's footage. I apologize. She might have gone for it. But when you go, when you get underneath it, you're basically able to deboost by bouncing into it. And that first bounce is just kind of whatever. It doesn't really send you anywhere. But the second one, the way that the game is set up, it like launches you for miles. The momentum that Samus has is immense. And it allows you to be able to get like most of the way across the room the rest of the way. Just on that one boost. So if you're able to pull it off, it looks really cool. It's fun. It feels like you're going on a ride. If you fail it, it does not feel good because you usually end up getting sent backwards, like what happened to Vale. Okay, we're stopping for a short little visit in, I pronounce it Elune. There's a lot of this stuff that's interesting in Metroid. We don't really hear the official pronunciations. I'm sure there are places where the developers have called it whatever. But I don't really remember all of the places' names, pronunciations, so I apologize if I butcher it the way that you understand it to be. But I call it Elune. This little like lab area, it's like almost like a quarantined safety area at the heart of ZDR. And what it is, at least story-wise, since Dread is a sequel to Fusion, the X parasites are a really big theme in this game. And in this case, on ZDR, this is where they were quarantining all the X parasites, like keeping them away from the rest of the planet. And Samus coming here opens up access to this place, and so it basically just lets the X roam free. You see this Chozo fight that Vale and Root are both in now. You see your first Chozo soldier being transformed into an X on the second phase. Pretty hideous transformation, has all sorts of black goop. It makes the fight a lot harder, they get much stronger. but this is the first of several Chozos you'll see. These fights where the Chozo will start out first phase and then transform into the X. But as Samus leaves, you skip a cutscene here where they just did, where you see the X making their way outside of this blocked off area. And so from here on out now, the X release has changed the state of the world. We will see X infecting everything in any area you go. Which makes the bosses and enemies much tougher. So damage-wise, they pack a bigger punch. But a neat little detail with the way that the game kind of changes in this shift in focus enemy-wise. All the enemies have their own like X transformation, like what they look like. They all like get beefed up and uglier. So it can be neat to see all the varieties when you're exploring the game world. But for now, we got to focus on the trick coming up. We see the ice Emmy, blue Emmy, as we call it too. In this area, it is the one that Quiet Robe disabled. It was about to attack Samus, and then Quiet Robe disables it. This one is reactivated. Quiet Robe actually reactivates it as an X. He's infected by an X. And the Emmy zone that we go through here now, the way that you do this area glitchless, we have to do a special keep that Root is starting and now Vale is beginning as well. When you do the keep all the way up to the top of the zone, it allows you to do early ice. Ooh, Vale got it just in time. That's actually what people have dubbed Super GEI, glitchless early ice. And Vale was able to do a fuller keep all the way up to the top of that room. You can also store it lower for a little bit more safety, so you don't have to worry about doing the keep all the way up. It uses a couple more wall jumps in that room to be able to keep the speed. It looks really cool. Root is struggling a lot. This trick is make or break. It's very difficult. Once you do it enough, you can get it consistent, but it can definitely be a stress point. Normally, we would use a water bomb jump, which is using a state that is not not normally possible, where you're able to actually do a second bomb jump like in mid-water, mid-air, whatever you call it. Oh no, Root's having a rough go of it. See if they're gonna be able to get all the way through. Okay, there we go. Can she get out, please? Okay, just grab the ledge. It can be a little stressful there at the top. We should be good though. All right, Root is free. Free of a curse. It is a curse trick. Is extremely agitating because it's very rhythm based. This is one of those things that the trick can either look really easy or really difficult based on when you see it. Like when somebody's performing it. I promise you, if somebody's struggling hard on the trick, it does not mean that they're a bad runner. It means that the trick is just being difficult that day. Because this is one of those tricks where it's a speed keep like any other, but it's got some tight spots to it, and if you're out of rhythm for that day, it can just completely unravel. And in your mind, you just can't quite get back to what you need to do with it, which can definitely be the decider in a race. As we're seeing, Vale got a really significant lead back again, because obviously the first lead was Vale having those loads. Root starting a little bit later to give that fairness. But now this is just Vale getting out ahead again. So Root's gonna have to do some good work in this back like, I don't know, 25 minutes, no, 30 minutes, something like that, from ice missiles on. This material gets very difficult though. We'll say Vale is headed to gravity. We're moving straight to gravity after ice. And if they're both taking, yeah, they are both taking the same route, I believe. Because this is the part where you would deviate if you were doing early space, where you'd actually, where Root is right now, you would actually just go right. Using that grapple block and opening up the other Enki, you would go right over to Ferenia and grab space, and then commence the rest of the route for that. But they're both going to be doing what we call Frozen Artaria route, I keep saying Root and Route over and over. Like, I'm getting myself all mixed up because I say Root, the racer, and then I also sometimes say Root or Route. I apologize. I'll just say Route so I don't get myself all mixed up. The route that we use, that both of them are going to be going for, is Frozen Artaria route. Oh my goodness, I'm dying. And the key feature of that is Z57, the boss. In other categories, we would skip Z57 because it's like a decent detour for once you set things in motion for what we call Frozen Artaria, coming from Barenia to Frozen Artaria, then the whole world's state is in that condition. And unless you're doing unrestricted shenanigans, like clipping out of bounds and stuff, you have to release that state by taking out Z57, and so it's a whole ordeal of going Artaria, then Cataris, and then we can come back to Artaria to grab Screw Attack again. But in this route, it's fast enough to be able to do this, and it comes out about the two routes that we use, either early space or Frozen Artaria, as far as I'm aware, are basically even. One of the main differences being Z57 RNG, because if you get a certain RNG pattern, you could lose 8 seconds off of no claws, no swipes at the beginning of the fight. So if you do get the bad RNG, you'd probably be losing a couple seconds to early space, and if you get the good RNG, you might be gaining a couple. It's kind of like bookending, but I'm not completely sure on that. Yes, the runs did freeze a little bit. The feed was struggling for a second, but they should be good right now, at least from what I'm watching. They had a few hitches here and there, but they've always been able to come back. Alright, so now Vale is in the Frozen Artaria scene. See a little cutscene. Samus is kind of looking at the frozen steps. It's kind of cool little cutscene there. To be able to see everything frozen over. Visually very pretty area to be able to see everything frozen over. Alright, Vale taking out that blob. We're going to fight our next Chozo soldier. Frozo Chozo, as some of us call him. This one you can also use the spark coming into the arena to be able to make the fight a little bit easier. Oh no, Vale went for the tank. If you do it quickly enough, the second swipe won't matter. And so Vale was standing firm. They were very close to the kill. Went for the gutsy strat and it didn't quite pay off. That's unfortunate. There's a way they can stand there though that basically baits the Chozo soldier into coming over and like kind of just walking it instead of jumping up on the wall. Obviously jumping on the wall makes it harder to aim and stuff. Alright, being able to get through that second try gets Root back into the race a little bit too though. Alright, is Root gonna just stay there? Okay. Chozo kind of backed away. Gave Root a little more space to get off those shots. Alright, Frozen Artaria is a pretty tricky area post Chozo Soldier because you have to do a series of speed keeps and shine sparking and just general movement. Those bat-like things are extremely what's the word? They pack a punch. And if you get caught by one of them, those guys, like the one that was dive bombing Vale, if you get hit by them once or twice, it can really set you back. So that area can be a little stressful doing that. Vale going for the spark strat there. If you do that little keep, you can do the spark up here. That vertical space that Vale just sparked into is a little too high for normal jumping. You can also bomb jump it as well by just doing bombs repeatedly in the air, stacking them. Oh, just missed the spark up to the top. It's a fun little area for movement, but it can definitely lose you some time just trying to go for all these little strats. And there, Vale did the spark and opened the door. If you are able to press the missile button while you're... Okay, we had a little skip there in the footage. If you're able to press the missile button while you're doing a... I just lost my train of thought. While you're in the middle of the air, if you're holding the charge shot, and you can release it with the missile button to be able to shoot midair, and that allows you to open doors while you're still flying, which is pretty cool. allows you to be able to go a little bit further than you might have. And we use it a couple places. There's a place earlier that I missed commentating on it. Okay, so Root made it out of Frozen Artaria. So this is going to be the boss of all bosses. Z57. Ironically, glitchless only skips one boss out of the 30. The way the game marks bosses, there are 30 bosses. That includes central units as well. Enemies and central units, just the other regular bosses. The only one that we don't fight in any percent glitchless, so the only difference between this and all bosses glitchless would be there's a Gavarin Chozo. Oh, the missile tank. It's so hard to avoid that one. When you get it, it's just pain. You just have to like do a little morph hop over top of it. But the only boss that we don't get is a Gavarin Chozo soldier that triggers if you grab the item spin boost. And we don't get spin boost in this route. We actually get base jump. Okay, so Root gets good RNG, at least it seems. And Vale got stuck with a double claw. Okay, so it seems like Root is going to have the good RNG. No swipes. What Vale just got, that RNG just lost them 8 seconds over no claws. So Root getting a very favorable pattern in this situation. And Vale getting stuck with the bad apple. Z57 just being mean. So that gives Root a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to go ahead and use after the fight ends, I'm going to go ahead and change the audio over to Root's. Just so we can hear the ending of Vale's. Alright, there we go. GG kill for Vale. So now we should be on Root's audio as they're getting a little bit out in the lead. This little exit can be tricky too. Little speed keep. Looks like both runners able to take that out. And then a little store there as well that Root hit at the end of the room. Oh. It can go wrong. And it's definitely very sad. You just get past Z57, you breathe a little sigh of relief, and then bam, you get smacked with a failed spark. Okay, so they're both heading out of Artaria. Again, remember that for anybody who's just coming in, we did give Vale a around like a 3 minute 27 head start is the way that this was set up. And the reason for that is that Root is running digital and Vale is running physical. Physical copies load significantly slower than digital copies. And Vale and a few other people have taken the time to sort out what the load difference actually is. And around 3.5 minutes is about the standard. So Root and Vale agreed before this race that they'll do that 3 minute 27 second head start. So when we began the race, Vale was noticeably ahead, just in visual. And Root has been able to catch up over the course of the run, just based on those loads, but then also on being able to play a little bit sharper through that material. So from here on out, Vale is going to be losing a little bit of time on loads per split. So Vale is definitely going to have to play quite a bit better than Root to be able to catch this up. Which is tough, but still close enough that anything can happen, for sure. Alright, Root is now heading to Berenia after being able to grab Screw Attack. We have this little pit stop in Berenia to get to cross bombs in Gavarin. This Berenia tower climb can be very stressful because we don't have any jump upgrade. You have to do this little trick that Root is doing right now where you do a wall jump into this store. Oh no, not able to store it. The ground is trolling Root. Alright, she's going again. So there's this hop, store on the ledge, and then you use these screw blocks. Clear them out just enough to be able to get up here to this top ledge. You want to make sure that you don't take out the screw blocks that are underneath there. I have done several times. You fall all the way back down. There is no recovering. It's embarrassing. But it can happen. And Vale is on their way there as well. Hopefully we'll catch up with Root's footage in a minute. There's a little hitch. Okay. Root on the second bot. And they did not die. That's good. I had a run the other day where I died on these bots, and I was very, very sad. So that's not good. Okay, Vale on the fight now as well. This is pretty much, as long as nothing goes crazy, you're able to space out the bots enough to keep them on the top ledge the whole time. If they get too close together, the left bot will slide or will go underneath, and it just gets everything all mixed up. But as long as they're spaced out enough, you can keep them kind of distance from each other with your positioning. Then you can just tank them the whole time. Just mash it, like smack them, and get out of there. This next item we're going to be grabbing, cross bombs, is also a new item. Can have a little bit of difficulty with how it behaves in certain circumstances, because it both releases bombs out, basically in a cross shape, up, down, left, and right, and you can use it to burst all the way through like a chain of bomb blocks, or just to get a lot more height. You don't usually use it for the height quite as much, but Root doing the Golzuna kill, the quick kill there. Unfortunately, the footage froze, but we got to see that first part where she did what we call a figure 8 speed keep to be able to set up killing Golzuna as it's spawning, or the second form, I should say, before Golzuna itself appears. It's like a three rounds of the enemy when the full form Golzuna comes. So Vale's going to take out that, and Vale is going to go for a little bit more difficult of a strat. Are we going to see it? The footage. Golzuna has a core X, or not a core X, excuse me, just the X blob that you can see, and based on how it's flashing, some runners choose to stand back at the door, and how it's flashing, they will go at a certain point in the way that the X is blinking. And if you do this, then you'll be able to speed booster through the Golzuna form as it's spawning, setting up the final Golzuna kill. The final Golzuna form takes 2 sparks, so it's a little beefier. And the way that we want to do it is what we call like the 4-spark kill, where you would do the, I guess it would be, yeah, is that 4 sparks? I don't remember what I'm counting. But there are 2 sparks for the final Golzuna form. And it's basically has you sparking into Golzuna as it spawns, the final form. We didn't get to see it here, unfortunately, because their feeds are struggling. But spark into it on the final form, and then flash into it. You actually take a little deboost there. And when you do that, you're able to kind of run inside of Golzuna for a second while you have invincibility. If you get too far, then you'll bump. But if you are able to do it correctly, then you can start speed boosting to the other side of the room, store another spark, and then take out Golzuna all the way. Okay, I still don't have Root's feedback up on my end. Vale is back and headed to Hanubia. If Root isn't able to come back up for another minute, I might switch back to Vale's audio. Let me just go ahead and do that now, so we can hear what's going on. I'm hoping we'll be able to get Root's footage back up quickly. It's unfortunate. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Internet is a pain. It happens all the time nowadays. I've had some times, like, I've been stressed before about doing races and stuff for fear that, like, my internet is randomly gonna die. Because I've had some very painful internet deaths. I'm talking like out for hours. I wouldn't be able to finish an event kind of thing. Okay, Root's feed is back. So I'm seeing Root is going down first. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to Root's audio. I apologize for the footage struggling so much, switching back and forth so much. Hopefully we don't have any more hitches from here on out, but internet is fickle. It is what it is. No, Vale's feed again. Surely we'll be able to see Samus somewhere in here. Okay, we're entering Ferenia. And this next upgrade we're gonna grab, pretty cool, storm missiles. And Root is gonna go for the shot on that door. There's a charge door up there, and I didn't actually notice whether or not she was able to connect with it, but there's a charge door. We're going to go grab Space Jump in a little bit. It's a very late grab of Space Jump, but it's the way that it works best in this route. And when you do open that door early, it just allows you to get through that area faster. Oh, the Emmy saw her. So now she's got to wait until the Emmy comes up on that platform and just chill for a minute until it, like, goes into, like, search mode. I don't even know what the mode would be called, but it's basically just, like, listening. And so it stands there for a minute and opens the doors again. But there's that little trick where you can open the space jump door a little sooner, but we're heading down to Storm Missiles first. We get to battle SQ. And for anybody who's played the game casually but maybe not seen speedrun strats, SQ is cathartic. Because this fight is annoying and difficult when you're just fighting it casually without screw attack early. With the way that we do this, you're able to you'll be able to store a spark and take out the first half of SQ's health if executed properly, and then it's just 6 screw attacks on top of SQ. Just bounce on top of it. Oh, we missed the fight. Heck, internet. So, Root, it looks like based on the timing, that Root was able to get that, carry that out. Okay, so we'll be able to see it with Vale. Hopefully. So there's the ball. Oh no, the ball spark. Okay, Vale's reloading. Wants to try the fight again. Oh, that's so unfortunate. If you don't get the spark, you can do the fight in about 12 screw attacks. So it's not that much slower, but Vale is just opting to do... Okay, so they did get the spark, and then you just bounce off of it with screw. Just over and over, and then it's done. And then you just take out the Core X with a couple of screws. You can one-cycle the Core X with, like, an obscene amount of firepower. It's very difficult. 2-cycle is not as difficult. Vale almost got it there, just a little bit too far away from it. You can screw attack it as it's spawning, and then screw attack it again, where there's like a little period that it's... Basically, you can sneak 2 of them in there, because it takes 3 screw attacks to take out the core. And each iteration, like 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle, I think it's like 2 seconds per, 2.5. It depends on how quickly you're able to get the Core X hits. But now we have a couple storm blocks that we open up on the way to Space Jump, because we'll go grab Space Jump really quick. For endgame, it's faster to grab Space Jump, and there's Root. Root is able to get Space Jump there. Oh no, the door! So when we enter that room for Space Jump, hopefully we'll be able to see it with Vale as well. You open the door in a way that you want to be able to get out quickly, because the door closes automatically once you're far enough away. And the only way that the door doesn't close, if you get close enough to it where it won't close on you, it stays open. And in that case, Root was not able to get back to the door quickly enough. I didn't see what exactly happened, but when you don't, then you have to go all the way down and around, open up that blob that you saw her opening up. It's like a 10-second loss, I want to say. So that can be a little bit difficult. Okay, so Vale's going for the Shine Spark. Shine Spark into Space Jump with certain timing as the door opens. Then you basically just flash back out through the door. And as long as you don't get caught, yeah, there Vale goes, able to get out just fine. So that ends up saving you the bother of going all the way around. I've got a lot of stuff going on now. They're pretty close together. And this part of the game gets very, very packed. A lot of tricky tech and stuff involved. The Root is going to be going for the purple, the Wave ME kill. To be able to get Wave Beam, this is the final beam upgrade. And once you get it, obviously it's Wave Beam, so you're able to shoot through walls and obstacles. It shoots through enemies, all that kind of stuff. So you can shoot things on the other side of walls. That's how we call our those tricks from earlier in the game, pseudo waves, that we don't use in glitchless. But Root going for the kill here right at the wall. There are a couple different ways to approach this. This is the quickest strat. And Root's gonna slide underneath after getting that kill. In order to be able to get that slide kill, you can only miss, I believe it's 4 shots on the faceplate the whole way down. So the way that you would just be paying attention to the faceplate damage, if you see any of those shots miss, like 3 or 4, you'd probably want to jump over just to be safe. And you can jump over and then take it out and then back into that same spot that Root went to be able to land the kill. Vale's going to be going for a slightly slower kill, a little bit safer of a kill, where you take out that wide beam block that you just saw them take out, and then prep for the enemy to come. It has to travel a little bit further, so that's why it ends up losing the time. I think it's like 8 seconds. You do end up a little bit closer to the exit once you get the kill, but it takes a little more time to be able to get that kill off. Vale being able to execute that pretty cleanly. And Root is on her way up to Anubia. Just a couple more things left. There's no upgrades left. Oh, excuse me, not upgrades. There is power bombs. I was thinking Chozos. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have one more upgrade left before facing the final gauntlet. And that is power bombs, as I just mentioned. We fight the red Chozo and the power to obtain the power bombs. There is the red Emmy that is the one that carries the power bombs. But if you play the game, the power bomb Emmy, there's a confrontation with Samus, and Samus uses some of her Metroid power to subdue it, and then the red Chozo comes. So we never really get to see any interaction with the power bomb. It's not Chozo, excuse me. The power bomb Emmy in like an Emmy zone format. We just have this cutscene that we skip anyways because it's not speed. That would have been very interesting to see a power bomb Emmy just planting power bombs, like that entire room being blown up or whatever. But that's not the way. That's not the route that they went for this. So instead, we get this fight. The room is a little bit laggy because of the fact that it's in an Emmy zone. With the Emmy there in the background and everything, it can get a little bit, it has a little bit of a hitch. So it can make firing at it with beams a little bit dicey. It just drops some shots and stuff like that. But Root through it all right. Vale on the way up to power bombs. Like I said, this is the last upgrade before we go into the final sequence. There's one final gold Chozo. It's like they call it an elite Chozo. Pretty straightforward fight. However fast you're able to mash on the Chozo and like being able to land as much as possible, just being able to have good aim, will obviously make the fight go quicker, which makes it easier, less attacks to dodge and stuff like that. But the gold Chozo does do severe damage. Oh, Root missed the power bomb. Okay. It will lay in that next room. Vale's feed froze a little bit. Hopefully we'll get it back for the final little bit. But Gold Chozo does do very big damage. And it's something to see. If you have 2 tanks, I believe it takes you down to like 30 some health instantly. I don't remember exactly what it does on 3 tanks. I myself do the 2 tanks. So it's very scary. Basically, you can only do 1 hit. If you get hit twice, you're dead. Other categories, like if you were to just do 1 E-tank, you'd be dead with 1 hit. So it's definitely a boss where you need to be clean. Root does have the 30 tank, which gives a little bit more leeway, and a body bump on that first phase is not as punishing. So that's kind of a nice little, like, it's not gonna kill you. So Root able to make it out of the fight all right. Vale heading up towards the fight. This little speed keep here can be a little bit tricky. I didn't talk about that before. Because Vale's got to start it up again. Oh, and they didn't get power bombs as well. I wasn't even noticing that. So Vale's going to open up the way. There's this I don't even know what you call it. You have to blow up the roof, basically, to be able to get up to this area where you go to fight Gold Chozo. And it opens up the way. Root is headed up to Itarash to have a final confrontation with Ravenbeak. And it's like the marquee fight for the whole game. Very difficult if you don't learn strats for it, and even with strats, this fight is for people who are speedrunning it very seriously, this is probably the fight you put the most hours into. Actually, it definitely would be. There's just a lot of little details to this fight for a speedrunner that you have to be wary of. Running with a 3E tanks makes the fight a little bit more lenient, since you can damage tank a little bit more. But there are 3 phases to the fight, and first phase has a trick that we call gold skip. If you're not prepared for it, the normal course of the fight would be that you do enough damage to Ravenbeak, he enters a phase where he turns gold, yellowish, and Root is trying to skip that by doing enough damage in this cutscene. By mashing this out, did 1 storm lock. The storm missiles can help you to be able to you don't need as much DPS to be able to get it done. So we're able to get that gold skip. If you don't get gold skip, it's like a 15-second loss, I think, somewhere around there. And what that means is that Ravenbeak enters a phase where he's invincible. He's gold. He's just standing there, like, taunting you. So you have to just trigger the next counter and hope he's a little bit nice, gives it to you early. And then you can enter the next phase. But the second phase that Root just exited, Ravenbeak is winged, which means aim is very tricky. So you just have to be really working on your aim, and there's several different patterns he gives that you learn, like what positions you can be in. Root taking it pretty safe. Ravenbeak is jumping all over the place right now. Okay, she's taking the counter. This should finish the fight if I'm counting correctly, because she's using the missile crossbomb strat. You can either do what we call weaving, which she's done some in the fight, where you will release a missile in between mashing beams, and doing those together is really good DPS. Oh, Vale not going, or Vale missing gold skip, I believe. I didn't actually see a Vale. I'm watching both feeds. Really good at this. The DPS you can do with weaving is pretty effective if you're able to go above like 10 hertz, I want to say. Once you're getting into like 11, 12 hertz is definitely worth it for your mashing speed. The crossbomb missile strat is very effective though. Crossbombs are able to do a decent amount of damage, and you saw Root doing some of that in that third phase. You try to place the crossbomb as close to Ravenbeak as possible, and then just interchange that with missiles. Couple missiles, crossbomb, couple missiles, crossbomb. There's a rhythm to it, but it is a little bit tight. So Root finally entering escape. And this escape sequence, a classic for Metroid games. Excuse me. You have 3 minutes to leave Planet ZDR or face certain doom. Alright, Vale in third phase. Trying to close out that Ravenbeak fight. You're able to get that footage back. Escape is all movement, obviously. With Hyper Beam, you're able to just blast your way through everything. And there's a lot to practice, though, believe it or not. Lots of little details to these nooks and crannies of escape. A couple different fun strats you can do, but they are very difficult, and you probably won't really see anybody but like the top runners going for. There's a spark and escape we call Arc Spark, because Arcandy's the one who discovered it, where you can get a running start off of a slope using a spark onto that slope, and if you're able to do a speed keep through that certain area, it can save around 2 seconds. Very difficult to do in a run, so a lot of people opt to just go for the safer strats there. But Root finishing with a time, if the count is accurate, 1:26:07. GG's to Root on that finish, and Vale just starting RBX, Ravenbeak X. In this category, obviously, we have Hyper Beam since we fought Ravenbeak. In Unrestricted, at least for any percent, you don't have Hyper Beam, you have to shoot it with regular beam. There are a couple other categories that do this as well. And so for people who run Unrestricted, RBX is miserable because it basically comes down to RNG if you can kill it. The room lags, and there's a particular frame or like a very specific window that you have to kill RBX on by shooting it. So Hyper Beam is really nice. You just aim at him and shoot for a certain amount of time and it works. But we are almost out all the way. Go ahead and say done. I wasn't even thinking about the audio, I apologize. That was my fault. get to hear Root's staff credits there for a second. But we'll hear Vale finishing out Escape, nearing the end of the journey. This is the little area I was talking about where you could do Arc Spark. Oh, Vale's gonna try it. Oh, went for the store a little early. But that's a little area you could do a keep through this right here. And then that last shot, probably the hardest part to land. To be able to keep the speed all the way into that room right there to do this up spark. There's another cutscene we have to skip because Samus wants to look majestic. In that room, if you double jump essentially up high enough, you're above the window where that cutscene will trigger. All right, GG's to Vale as well. 128.08. That was action packed for sure. GG's to both runners, making that entertaining with the feed dropping and then explaining some of those strats. That was pretty amusing for me. Be able to try to keep up with them. Okay. Both players done. Finished all of that. Okay. I will check. I will see if they want to do an interview or if we're just going to head and wrap this one up. Totally up to them. But there we go. Second match of the tournament so far. We got to see Root and Vale. The way that the bracket is structured, I think there might be a link. Let's see, do they have? Yeah, there's the bracket up there. Let me go ahead and put that in the chat again. Let me see if I can type properly. 24 Dread. No? Yes? Oh. L. I don't know how to look at stuff, guys. This. There you go. Okay. There's the bracket, if you want to go ahead and look at it, and then Discord for Dread as well. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun to be able to commentate. GG's again to Root for the win, and for Vale for sticking that out. Had some dramatic moments. Root with early ice, and then I forgot there was one that Vale had that I lost now. I need to remember what even happened in the race. Okay. Let me see. I see Vale is in. All right. Ready whenever. I will drag Vale in here. Hello.
Hello.
GG's on the finish.
Jeez.
That was a lot of fun for me to watch, to be able to see, especially with the having the load difference and stuff for you all. The way that Root was catching up, and then early ice kind of changed the pace again. You were able to get out there, and then Root kind of like clawed back again. A lot of twists and turns for sure. How do you feel though finishing it up with your run overall for your expectations?
Honestly, I feel pretty good. Like, I'm upset about the 2 deaths, and movement wasn't the cleanest, but I brought my sum of best down by almost 2 minutes, so I can't complain about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was a lot of there's a lot of material in this category that like getting to mid game can just get pretty stressful. I think one of the things is just being able to keep your composure, honestly. It's like it's there's gonna be stuff that goes wrong. And you just gotta figure out a way through it to fight. So it was good to see you both not quitting, you just kept going and were able to see some good quality in there. I didn't hear from Root, so I think she's gonna sit this one out. But any other comments you had you wanted to add? I don't have anything else really too much. I was trying to think back through the run, and nothing else like super crazy popped out in my mind. But
And now,
it's
like, I'm satisfied with my run. Really, I hit a lot of the major tricks first try, like first try Atom, first try Glitchless Early Ice.
oh, that's right, you did. Yeah, you did super too. That was really hyped to see. I was trying to remember exactly how that went down, but being able to get that whole keep to the top, that was really cool to
Yeah,
see.
I even got the run up to like the section before you even get into the Emmy zone. I managed to speed keep almost the entire thing, and I was very happy with myself because I've never nailed that full keep, and I
Hmm.
actually got it this time, and it felt so good.
Yeah, GG's on that. That's definitely one of those little areas of movement that can kick you in the butt.
Mhm. Yeah, I was so worried that the Emmy was going to spawn in a bad spot and mess it up when I started and got into the Emmy room, and then
Hmm.
spawned somewhere not where it wasn't a problem.
Yep. Yeah, spawns for this trick in particular can really make or break you if you aren't ready or if something silly goes on.
Yeah,
But
especially with the super version.
hmm yeah, I honestly haven't done much with super. I tried it like once or twice and was like, I'll lose my couple of seconds.
Yeah, I was practicing it a bunch yesterday, and it's so fun to pull off.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. That's good. All right, so let me look really quick. I want to see the bracket. So you will be in the losers. You'll start. So that's 14. You'll be facing the loser of Our Candy versus Metroid.
Okay.
So that'll be coming up pretty soon. So how are you feeling about your chances in losers? You gonna fight for a match, or are you thinking like you're just here to play?
I'm just here to play. I've definitely been keeping an eye on prospective opponents because there's certain people who, are just amazing at this game. And even if I don't think I have a chance, I still want to, make a good show of it.
For sure. Yeah, I remember last year when I was entering the tournament, it was my first tournament for anything like this, like on this kind of a scale, and I was thinking like, like I'm probably gonna get knocked out pretty early, but I just want to make a good show of it. And I was able to make it reasonably floor last year. I was really happy with that, just the way the bracket played out. But yeah, I definitely get that. Like, even if you're not gonna be able to make it all the way, you just want to put up a good showing. Sometimes people are just gonna be that much better, but you give him a good fight. Also, hi, Root.
Hi.
GG's Root.
GG's. GG's.
GG's. That was certainly a show. From my perspective, I know you both probably felt a little different, just like personally, what you were trying to do with the run. I don't know if either of you were keeping up with the feed, but I saw because Vale had the start with like the little advantage for the physical, and then Root was like clawing back, and then it kind of went like the other way again, early ice. I'm sorry, Root. I'm so sorry. And then it just
Yeah.
like pulled back again, and it was like that back and forth of like seeing how the loads affected it, and then like the how you guys were playing. It was really fun for me to be able to watch.
Mm. I was kind of keeping up with the stream. I was curious on like how the loads and everything. So I was like, I kind of want to watch the stream and see. Like,
Yeah, for
those
physical
loads
you
are
could like
ridiculous.
count.
My God.
For physical you can count. It's like several seconds per load, and it's just pain. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
being able to see is just like no, please.
It's roughly like depending on your switch, it's somewhere around 9 seconds per load that you
It's
lose.
insane.
Ay, ay,
And in a
ay.
category, I think this category has 28 loads.
Oh,
So if you figure
probably, yeah.
9 seconds, 28 times is
It adds up,
yes.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I know the streams are freezing, unfortunately, quite a bit
Oh yeah, yeah.
too.
It
My
was
Yeah.
fine.
Gozuna was ugly. Oh my God.
Oh, thank God I wasn't the only one who had an ugly Golzuna.
Oh, it was horrible. I was
I
like-
don't
I
I
had
Uh,
don't
to.
even good.
I didn't hit one shine spark except
oh
on the last
no.
I
phase.
I
Yeah.
somehow hit one shine spark.
Mm.
I didn't
Okay.
kill the Goliath with a shine spark. I
Yeah.
completely botched it. So I
Mhm.
killed it, got a spark, and then just YOLO'd a spark across the room as Golzuna was spawning and managed to land a hit.
Right.
Hmm.
Well.
and then I couldn't get the
Vikings on
store
that.
afterwards.
Yeah, that was the material. I wasn't able to watch because the feeds
Oh.
froze like at the same time. It was so funny. I was trying to explain the Golzuna quick kill at like while the
Mhm.
feeds were just there, and I was like, please come back.
You're like, I'm running out of things to say about Kozuna, please.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it honestly. It felt like a game for me. Like thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I got some stuff to fill with commentary, and some of it, like you guys were moving so quickly, I had to like keep up because I wanted to explain this or that, and I'm like, oh no, they're already here. Like they already moved past what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
it was good overall. But you're
Yeah.
moving on to round 2.
Mhm.
You will probably be no, not probably.
No,
It's
I
a
am
it's a
paying.
play-in. You're playing Sap. I
Yeah.
was like, wait, no, it's not probably. He is the only one
Mhm.
there. How are
Literally.
you feeling about that?
I mean, all right, I guess. There's not really much I can say, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Uh,
like that's one of those things where on paper you look at some of the matches and you're like, there's literally no way I win this. But
yeah.
it's
So,
it's for me, I feel like I get excited just at the idea of racing somebody. I don't know if you feel
yeah.
that way, but I get excited by facing somebody like that just to say, "Oh, I raced Sat." So
Yeah,
I
no, I
hope
mean, I'm
I hope it's a
excited for
fun
it.
time for you.
I mean, I'm gonna try my best regardless. I don't feel
For sure.
down about it. I don't feel like, ugh, this is well losers. You know, I'm like, all right,
Hmm.
it's fine. You
Yeah.
know.
And having the losers bracket too, like even though it's labeled losers, like the second chance is a lot of fun. I feel like because when you end up, depending on how the bracket works out, sometimes you can get a rough draw, even if you feel like you could have won a match or two.
Mhm.
It just gives you that extra chance to feel like, oh, maybe I can advance like one or two, and grab a win or two here, and that's a really good feeling. So I
Oh
wish the
yeah.
best for both of you. Um, but I don't think I have anything else to add. If you guys have anything,
No, just
No?
GGs again.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
Thank
sure.
you,
GG's.
All
Delusional
right.
for commentating.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. All right, I think that's gonna do it for us. Thank you to all who were watching. Thank you to Speed Gaming for putting this on. We'll be able to have hopefully a very fruitful tournament this year. Not as many people, but it should be able to move pretty quickly. That'll be a lot of fun. So next race, I believe there's another race going on. They probably just finished, or maybe are just finishing on Speed Gaming 6.
Yeah, they should be finishing up probably in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to
Mhm.
pop over to that one, be sure to check them out. I believe it's Manny and Spear Time, right?
Yes.
So
I
that's
believe
going on
so.
as well. But you can check the schedule. There'll be more coming up soon. So just stay tuned. There's another race on Friday and then one on Saturday. We've got a lot of matches coming up, so it'll be moving quickly. But thank you all again for watching. Hope to catch you soon. I will maybe be on comms again, hopefully as a
Let's
runner.
go.
Anyways, have a good one, everybody. That's all for me. Um, GG's, you guys.
GG's.
GGs.